And speaking of world leaders, our Eleni Giokos spoke to Kevin Rudd, the former Prime Minister of Australia and President of the Asia Society Policy Institute. She asked him how China and the world would be impacted if the US adopted protectionist trade policies, as Donald Trump has been suggesting. Take a listen.
If the US were to unilaterally embrace a protectionist trade policy, the unravelling of the international trade agreements right across the family of the World Trade Organization, which the US has been engaged in for decades, would frankly take years and probably decades. But as a consequence, you would be sending not just a huge level of new complexity into global markets, you would be turning the clock back to a mercantilist past. And in the age of great protectionism that we saw in the 1930s, as a response to the economic crisis of the late 20s, that was precisely the wrong decision to take by the countries of the world at that time. We should not repeat that mistake today.
Does it worry you that it could be a possibility, that could be a scenario that we should be preparing for?
Well, what I see across the world is a weakening of political sentiment in support of open trade and free trade arrangements. It's not just in the United States where you see this passion, political passion, rising, partly in response to the hollowing out of the middle class. But you also see the same occurring in many countries in Western Europe as well. And I think progressively in other countries of the world as well. The tough thing on free trade is the need for continued strong political leadership, because it's not immediately apparent what the advantages are to consumers and to households, but the real advantages have been, one, it boosts growth, two, it creates new job opportunities elsewhere within the economy, and three, it helps living standards, often by bringing the price of consumer goods down. I think it is a cause worth arguing, because if one major economy heads in the reverse direction, I fear the avalanche it then brings about.
We're talking about major global imbalances with the reality.
Trade is no small factor in global economic growth. It is a very big factor. And therefore, if we were to take the meat axe to it in the name of fair trade, in the name of putting one particular country first, then I really do fear the catastrophic consequences. If you want the economic textbook, read that of the first half of the 1930s. It makes very grim reading.
Let's talk about the Trans-Pacific Partnership deal, sweeping across 12 countries. Does America lose out when it comes to that deal? What is your prognosis?
Well, I know the United States trade negotiators very well. We in Australia have negotiated a bilateral free trade agreement with the United States, and we in Australia have just concluded our own negotiations with our American friends in the Trans-Pacific Partnership. They are very tough negotiators. They are very good at sticking up for the American national economic interest. If the United States proceeds with the ratification of the Trans-Pacific Partnership, I do not see the US economy losing at all. Otherwise, trade negotiators would not have done it. It's as simple as that.